The next order of business is to get the oil pump ready to reinstall. I've already cleaned up the surface here, but we need to install a new oil seal here. And so let's get this old one out. Just pry it out. There we go. Before we install the new seal, let's make sure that this is all clean. Okay, and then we'll take our new seal and apply a thin coat of oil to the inside and outside. And we'll just push it in. And once we've got it pushed in as far as we can, we'll slightly tap around it until it's fully flush. A few things to take care of prior to installing the oil pump. First of all, get the mating surfaces all clean and free of oil, which I've already done. Do it on the oil pump side and also on the block side. A couple other things to note here. The drive portion for the oil pump is this crankshaft, and it has two flat spots on each side. I've put these in the vertical position, and you also want to do the same thing on the oil pump. Make sure that the two sides here, that way when you push the thing on, it'll line up and then slide on. Otherwise, you're gonna fight it. Also, remember that we have an O-ring to install here, so I'm gonna put a little bit of RTV on this and then apply it here so it'll hold in place while I'm installing the pump. Also, 3 of these bolts are gonna require some RTV, and those correspond to these 3 spots here on the left side. All right, let's go ahead and install it. I got the RTV on this side, O-ring is in. The oil pump here's drive is in the vertical position. And I got my 3 bolts RTV here ready to go in. So let's just go ahead and push her on. Okay, and then these bolts with the RTV go here, here, and here. And then the other 4 bolts and these get torqued to 56 inch-pounds. Next, there's 2 little rubber wedges here, and they get installed on the left side of the oil pump, right here, and right here. Now turn our attention to the water pump. We got a new gasket here, and then also a new little rubber isolator, so we'll pull the old one off and discard that and put the new one on. Okay, and then again, just make sure all the main surfaces are clean and the new gasket in place. I find it helpful to put 2 of the bolts in on the top to kind of get this started and hold the gasket in place while you're installing this. Okay, when torquing these bolts down on the water pump, it's supposed to be done in 2 stages. Both stages are 8.9 pound-feet or 107 inch-pounds. And they want you to start here and then move in a counterclockwise. So basically, I'm just going to go around twice at 107 inch-pounds. All right, now we can put the spark plugs back in. These get torqued to 15 pound-feet. All right, next I'm gonna prep the oil pan, get it ready to install. Just thought I'd show you this before I clean it up. All the metal that's actually in the bottom of this thing from that spun bearing, quite a bit. So I'm gonna have to clean this pretty thoroughly, make sure all these metal pieces are out. But yeah, look at this, just metal everywhere in there. All right, this will actually turn out to be a pretty time-consuming part of the project, getting all this off. I'm going to get the main stuff off here with the scraper, but then I'm going to get some of that liquid gasket remover and then apply it here. And I'll work my way around, then hit it with the brush, and then brake clean on the inside, try to get all the metal out of there, and then after that maybe vacuum it. But I see this taking probably well over an hour to get this suitable to put back onto the car. I really wish Subaru would use gaskets instead of this RTV on the oil pan anyway. But anyway, to aid in getting this RTV off, I'm going to use this Permatex gasket remover. And basically you just kind of spread this wherever there's gasket material and then let it set for about 15 minutes. And then we'll try scraping it off. And then repeat the procedure as many times as necessary to get this all off. If it wasn't on a budget here, I think it would probably pay just to get a new oil pan, especially with the metal flakes in there. So I'm gonna have to be real careful to get all of those out. And again, that's gonna be pretty time consuming. So anyway, we'll let that sit and scrape it off. This is sat for about 15-20 minutes. So we'll hit it with the brush now, see how much of this material we can get off. Well, while we're waiting for the gasket remover to work, let's do a little bit of work over here on the block again. We'll start here with the crossover coolant tube. I pulled off the O-rings. Boy, they sure get flattened out. So anyway, I want to install new O-rings here. Okay, and then I've cleaned up the underside of this coolant crossover tube where the O-rings fit. Make sure the O-rings are well seated in there. And we'll just loosely install this now. Because I know that there's some additional hardware we need to mount on here that we may need to pull these bolts again and run something underneath. But at least this will prevent anything from falling down into the motor, which I get real paranoid about. Okay, here's some additional PCV tubes and coolant tubes that need to be installed. So let's see, these two guys are going to go down here on the water pump, so it has to be installed this way. That's why I say install this loosely, because some of these need to go underneath. And actually, this actually needs to go onto one of the bolts that hold the crossover tube on. All right, just to give you a quick rundown of what I did. Went ahead and put on, of course, the coolant crossover tube, but underneath it goes some of this additional piping. There's some here that go directly to the water pump. They get fastened down here and over here. And also one of the bolts for the crossover tube right there. And then again over here, another crossover tube bolt. I did go ahead and install the knock sensor. When you put this this tubing on, be sure to get this guy here. And let's see, is there anything else? Oh yeah, and this one here. I was able to reuse the factory clamp here. Okay, and the torque spec for the knock sensor 17.7, and the coolant crossover tube is 56 inch-pounds. So these 4 bolts, and then also the ones holding on these other coolant tubes as well. Right there. Okay, I know I'm jumping back and forth here a lot, but anyway, finally got the oil pan cleaned up. I hit it with some brake clean pretty good. And they got all the gasket material off here. One of the things that makes this so difficult are these little ridges here that the RTV gets into. It's very difficult to get it out of there, so the liquid gasket remover makes it much, much easier. It softens it up, and then you can just kind of scrape it out with a brush. Also, don't forget to change this little O-ring here. We got a new one that came with the gasket set, so we'll put that in there. And once I hit it with the brake clean and dried it all out, I also hit it with the vacuum too, just to make sure that got all the metal flakes out. So anyway, I think we're doing pretty good here. On the bottom side of the motor, I feel that it's easiest to start cleaning this mating surface with the oil pan here before we add the windage tray or the oil pickup tube, because there's no obstructions at this point. And once that's all cleaned up, then we can set the windage tray in, like so. And then the oil pickup tube. I've heard that on these tubes, it's not that unlikely for this weld here to crack. So inspect that before you reinstall it. Certainly want to put in a defective part. And there's also an O-ring on this pickup tube that we need to replace. Okay, so let's pull this off. And install our new one. The oil pickup tube does share a bolt here with the windage tray, so before you put any bolts in, let's put the oil pickup tube on. And when I put these screws back in, I'm very cautious about accidentally dropping something in here. I would hate to have to try to fish it out, so I like to put it on a magnet so I can't drop it, and at least start the bolts with a magnet. I'm all started there with the magnet anyway. Some of these have a Phillips head, and 2 of them are not. They're just conventional 10 mm hex head, and those are the ones that go onto the oil tube here. And once I get these finger tight here, these will all be torqued down to 56 inch-pounds. With both oil pan mating surfaces clean and our new O-ring here, we can start adding our TV. Okay, and then once I've spread the RTV evenly on there, I like to kind of go around the inner rim here to eliminate any big chunks of RTV that could potentially later fall into the oil pan and plug up the oil feed tube. All right, now we can go ahead and set the oil pan down onto the block. Okay, and then we can put their oil pan bolts in, and these get torqued to 3.7 inch-pounds, or I'm sorry, 3.7 pound-feet, which is about 44 inch-pounds. Okay, next we'll want to install this piece here, and remember to put new gaskets on this side here, and then there's another one right here, and those will mate up on the block right here and right there. All right, I got a little bit ahead of myself here, and I had to take off some of the bolts for this coolant crossover tube and these tubes here, because there was no way to get this whole apparatus in here with these present. So this has to go on first. So, and also these two holes here correspond to these studs on the coolant crossover tube. So it actually bolts onto that. Okay, so I'm going to set this on here first. Oh, this is just like one big puddle. There we go. All right, now we have the additional hardware on here, and we can go ahead and put the intake back on at this point. Now that we have the motor flipped back over here, we can start working on the intake. So I took off the tape on these intake ports here, and then made sure they're real clean. I know these don't look great. This is another good reason why we cleaned up these surfaces while the heads were off, because now if we were to try to clean it, we could potentially have debris fall down into the intake here, which would not be good. But as long as you can run your fingernail over these stains and you don't feel any bumps, then you're good. It does need to be perfectly flat though. I mean, you want a really good seal here, because remember, boosted air is going in here, so you know we could have some pretty good pressure here, and we just don't want to create any channel for the air to leak out. Then also on the intake manifold, same thing on the other side. I flipped this upside down so we could kind of clean up these ports as well. And so I scraped all the old gasket material off, and then cleaned it up with some solvent so there's no oils or anything. Then we got some new gaskets here. These are identical, so there's no left or right. And there's two little pins that align the gasket. There's one here and then one right here. And so you want to make sure that you set the gasket on those alignment pins, like so. And then same thing on this side. Okay. And then with everything all cleaned up, we can go ahead and take the intake and set it down on top. And then there's a lot of connections we need to make here. I always found it was a good idea to, while this is upside down, count the number of connections. I mean, you got, you know, PCB stuff here, you got electrical connectors, you got vacuum connectors and all that. Count all the number of connectors. And then once you set it back on to the block, start counting them off and make sure that you got all of them. Okay, now we have the intake manifold back on. We can go ahead and torque down the bolts here, and the torque spec on these guys is 18.4. 4 of them on each side. Well, that's about all the time I have for today. Unfortunately, we had to take a step backwards and pull the intake manifold off and put it back on, so that slowed us down a bit. But when you do this sort of work, these sorts of things happen occasionally. So anyway, on the next video, hopefully we'll address all the connections underneath the intake manifold, and then hopefully we'll get to the timing belt, and if we're lucky, maybe even the exhaust manifold and turbo. Till then, I'll see you next time.